In the second part, I have made an effort to provide some guidance on liquidity and financial markets. In the third part, I would be announcing certain additional measures, and finally, in the fourth part, I would be concluding, and in the concluding para also, I would bring out the broad approach of the RBI going forward during this year. So, I request your patience. The Monetary Policy Committee met on 2nd, 3rd and 4th June 2021 and took stock of the evolving macroeconomic and financial conditions as well as the impact of the COVID wave, the second wave of the COVID on the economy. Based on its assessment, the MPC voted unanimously to maintain status quo, that is keeping the policy repo rate unchanged at 4%. The MPC also decided unanimously to continue with the accommodative stance as long as necessary to revive and sustain growth on a durable basis and continue to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on the economy while ensuring that inflation remains within the target going forward. The marginal standing facility, that is MSF rate, and the bank rate remain unchanged at 4.25%. The reverse repo rate also remains unchanged at 3.35%. Since the MPC's meeting in April, the second wave of the COVID-19 has surged across several states and spread into smaller towns and villages, leaving a trail of human misery and tragedy in its wake. Yet, in these days of trials and travels, it is vital to remain focused on vanquishing the virus. Tough times call for tough choices and tough decisions to emerge triumphant. It is said that storms make trees take deeper roots. I am convinced that as we stretch our endurance to eradicate the virus, it will bring out the finest aspects of human character and capability. I am reminded here of a quote attributed to the Greek philosopher Epictetus, and it goes as follows: "The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it." Let me begin by setting out the underlying rationale of the MPC's decision. Provisional estimates of national income released by the National Statistics Office (NSO) on May 31st placed India's real GDP contraction at 7.3% for 2021, with GDP growth in fourth quarter at 1.6% year-on-year. The forecast of a normal southwest monsoon, the resilience of agriculture and the farm economy, the adoption of COVID-compatible person operational models by businesses, and the gathering momentum of global recovery are forces that can provide tailwinds to revival of domestic economic activity when the second wave abates. On the other hand, the spread of COVID-19 infections in rural areas and the dent on urban demand poses downside risks. Ramping up the vaccination drive and bridging the gap in healthcare infrastructure and vital medicine supplies can mitigate the pandemic's devastation. The inflation print for April at 4.3% has brought with it some relief and policy elbow room. A normal southwest monsoon along with comfortable buffer stocks should help to keep cereal price pressures in check. On the other hand, the rising trajectory of international crude prices within a broad-based surge in international commodity prices and logistics costs is worsening the cost conditions. These developments could keep core price pressures elevated, although weak demand conditions may temper the pass-through to consumer inflation. On balance, the MPC was of the view that at this juncture, policy support from all sides is required to gain the momentum of growth that was evident in the second half of 2021 and to nurture the recovery after it has taken root. Accordingly, the MPC decided to keep the policy rate at the current level of 4% and to continue with the accommodative stance as long as necessary to revive and sustain growth on a durable basis and continue to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on the economy while ensuring that inflation remains within the target going forward. Let me now provide some more details with regard to RBI's, the MPC's assessment of growth and inflation. The second wave of COVID-19 is associated with unexpectedly higher rates of morbidity and mortality relative to the first wave. The breakout of mutant strains that render the virus highly transmissible across both urban and rural areas has led to fresh restrictions on activity being imposed across a large swath of the country. Yet, unlike in the first wave, when the economy came to an abrupt standstill under a nationwide lockdown, the impact on economic activity is expected to be relatively contained in the second wave, with restrictions on mobility being regionalized and nuanced. Moreover, people and businesses are adapting to pandemic working conditions. Urban demand, as reflected in some high frequency indicators, that is electricity consumption, railway freight, port cargo, steel consumption, cement production, e-way bills and toll collections, recorded sequential moderation during April and May 2021 as manufacturing and services activity weakened due to restrictions and lockdowns imposed by most states. Mobility indicators have declined during April and May, but they remain above the levels seen during the first wave last year. Domestic monetary and financial conditions remain highly accommodative and supportive of economic activity. Moreover, the vaccination process is expected to gather steam in the coming months, and that should help to normalize economic activity. With external demand strengthening, a rebound in global trade is taking hold, which should support India's export sector. Global demand conditions are expected to improve further, buoyed by fiscal stimulus packages and fast progress of vaccination in advanced economies. India's exports in March, April and May 2021 have launched into an upswing. Conducive external conditions are forming for a durable recovery beyond pre-pandemic levels. The need of the hour is for enhanced and targeted policy support for exports. It is opportune now to give further policy push by focusing on quality and scalability. Notwithstanding the sequential decline of indicators of rural demand in April, rural demand is expected to remain strong as forecast of a normal monsoon bodes well for sustaining its buoyancy going forward. The increased spread of COVID-19 infections in rural areas, however, pose downside risks. Taking all these factors into consideration, real GDP growth is now projected at 9.5% in 2021-22, consisting of 18.5% in first quarter, 7.9% in second quarter, 7.2% in the third quarter, and 6.6% in the fourth quarter of 2021-22. Now turning to the outlook for inflation, the favorable base effects that brought about the moderation in headline inflation by 1.2 percentage points in April may persist through the first half of the year, conditioned by progress in monsoon and effective supply side interventions by the government. Upside risks to inflation emanate from persistence of second wave and consequent restrictions on activity on a virtually pan-India basis. In such a scenario, insulating prices of essential food items from supply side disruptions will necessitate active monitoring and preparedness for coordinated, calibrated and timely measures by both center and states to prevent emergence of supply chain bottlenecks and increase in retail margins. Taking into consideration all these factors, CPI inflation is projected at 5.1% during 2021-22, and this consists of 5.2% in the first quarter, 5.4% in second quarter, 4.7% in third quarter, and 5.3% in the fourth quarter of 2021-22, with risks broadly balanced. Let me now proceed and provide some guidance with regard to liquidity and financial markets. The foremost endeavor of the Reserve Bank throughout the pandemic has been to create conducive financial conditions so that financial markets and institutions keep functioning normally. And this is something which I think we can say with confidence that the Reserve Bank has been successful in ensuring throughout the pandemic period so far. Accordingly, adequate system level liquidity has been ensured, and targeted liquidity to stressed institutions and sectors has been provided. As a result, borrowing costs and spreads have reduced to historic lows. This has incentivized a record amount of private borrowing through corporate bonds and debentures during financial year 2020 and 21. Reserve money rose by 12.4% year-on-year as on 28th May, and while money supply, that is M3, grew by 9.9% year-on-year as on May 21st, and bank credit by 6% as on May 21st, 2021. The GSAP operations and some instances of cancellations, devolvement and exercise of green shoe options in the GSEC auctions have conveyed the Reserve Bank's views to the market. With the second wave intensifying this financial year, the focus of the Reserve Bank is increasingly turning from systemic liquidity to its equitable distribution. In fact, the enduring lesson from the experience of the pandemic in the Indian context has been deployment of unconventional monetary policy measures that distribute liquidity among all stakeholders. We shall continue with our proactive and preemptive approach, relying on market-based channels of transmission as we strive to mitigate the toll of the pandemic and return the economy to a path of high and durable growth.
All right, let me open economist Sharad Kohli to give us more details on this. A very good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us. Now, if you could help us explain where the RBI governor has mentioned that the rates will remain unchanged and the policy stance is accommodative. He also mentioned about the expected GDP for the 2021. What all monetary policy changes we are expecting from his press conference, like he mentioned.
I think the accommodative stance taken by RBI all through this corona crisis basically continues. There is no change, which is why he's not tampering with the repo rate or the reverse repo rate. So I think that is the biggest takeaway. And then I think the other major statement which he's made so far, although the PC is still on, is the projection of the GDP. I mean, he's projecting GDP growth of more than 9% in this fiscal year, which I feel at this point of time is slightly optimistic because obviously the RBI is assuming that, the country is going to come out of this corona crisis as the cases are subsiding. But I think what has not been taken into account is that if there is a third wave and there are more lockdowns, let's say in September, between September and December, then obviously these projections will go haywire. So I think that is the other. I think, and the third major takeaway so far, which I feel is the RBI's new method of GSAPs, the new method of infusing liquidity and keeping the bond yield, the Indian bond yields. We keep talking of the US bond yields, but the Indian bond yields under control. I think the GSAPs have been a very, very instrumental tool, I would say, in controlling the bond yields. Overall, I think Mr. Shaktikanta Das is known for being cautiously optimistic, and I think he is projecting that stance without a doubt. And I hope and wish that all his optimism and all the policies being implemented by RBI, they come out to be true and successful in the spirit in which they have been launched. But RBI's commitment to infuse liquidity into the country I think remains the way it was, has been over last 1 year, I would say. And I think that should be music to the ears of the industry, because the industry was not expecting, definitely not expecting any crunch on liquidity. So I think the liquidity stance is welcomed. And the other major thing is inflation, I think, which is a major concern in the country at this point of time, especially because of the fuel prices and the food prices, vegetables, fruits, and other basic food prices. He's projected a CPI of 5% plus, which seems to be very, very conservative, I would say. But the way the inflation is right now, and if the fuel prices do not come under control, even those projections can probably get disturbed. So that's my first take of all. The PC is still on.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.